All right, welcome everybody to the first episode of the X Factor
Woo!
cast presented by X Factor Consulting. My name is Garrett Gangarosa, and I'm the founder of X Factor Consulting, an influencer and athlete agency that really helps athletes like Dorian here further market themselves, reach out to brands, create content, and really just start thinking from a very strategic mindset early on, in their career. So. I'm really looking forward to, starting this podcast off, getting some really cool voices in the space on our podcast to talk sports, to talk influencer marketing, content creation, all that good stuff. So really excited, to be a part of this and also to have Dorian here. So Dorian, I'll let you take it away,
What's
man.
going on, man? I'm Dorian Miles, man. Wide receiver at Missouri Valley College. Client for X Factor Consulting. Director of Influencer Partnerships at X Factor Consulting. I'm doing a lot, man. So I'm really excited about this podcast. There's a lot of things that I think could come from this podcast, man. I think in the era of social media, man, everybody wants to get a piece of somebody's brain, and when you got things passing like the NIL, you got things like athletes getting their own clothing deals. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. So that's why we got the mics out, man, ready to talk about it, ready to dive into it, get digging deep, ask some of the hard questions, try to figure out your pregame snack, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to some of the guests we're gonna have on, you know what I mean? We got some really cool influencers, some more than influencers, athletes, influencers, entrepreneurs, like you said. I mean, we got a lot of people going on. So I think it'll be cool. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think it'll just provide a lot of opportunity for people that, are listening that want to learn more about influencer marketing. Maybe they're high school athletes that haven't gotten into NIL yet and they're just trying to, pick the brains of people like
Yeah.
Dorian or athletes that have been, through this stage of their life and their career. So, I think something that I'm really looking forward to with this podcast is having, like you said, guests on that we can really pick their brain and allow athletes and influencers that, obviously X Factor influencers and athletes, but also just any influencer, athlete, creator, talent out there that wants to have a platform to further, promote their brand or talk about what they're about or like, Dorian said, like, what's your favorite snack? What's your game day, routine? We're just trying to basically provide some personality for some of these athletes and influencers to, further prop up their brand and elevate their careers and where they're trying to go, whether that's, during their playing days, after their playing days. We're always trying to, set up influencers and athletes for the long haul. So I think this podcast is going to be awesome for obviously athletes, obviously, influencers in the beauty space and the health and wellness, fitness space. I think there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurship too, to learn stuff, from people that have done it, that have started their own business or jumped right into it. So I think another thing to think about is that NIL and influencer marketing in general just provides so much opportunity, skills for these
Yeah.
athletes and influencers for later on in their life. You see so many examples. You look at the Cavender twins, like they have kind of gotten out of NIL now. They transition kind of away from that, but they have so many things now that they can fall back on and rely on and get up and be a part of. And that's further growing their brand. And it all kind of started with
Yeah.
NIL and influencer marketing. So I think just the skills, Dorian, you could probably speak
Yeah.
to it a little bit just going through it yourself, but the skills you learn from, diving into this space, it's awesome. And it really has allowed even myself as an entrepreneur, starting X Factor to really grow in areas that I didn't think, I needed to grow in, but you just learn so much as an entrepreneur. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes, influencers, and just listeners can take,
Yeah.
take
And
away from
definitely
it.
because, like, dude, I know that when I was trying to figure out this NIL thing, dude, I wish that there was like just a podcast that I could binge episodes of, just like, okay, so this was the first step of what he did. Okay, so what did he do? What did she do? You know what I mean? And
Right.
I don't know, like being an athlete, well, for example, I didn't think that the whole influencer thing and all that thing was like actually ever going to like make its way into like college athletics. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to see like I have something in common with like an influencer like on TikTok with 16,000 followers, 160,000, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just picking their brains, figuring out how they promote their videos, how they promote their products, how do they partner with different brands, how are they more representable? I mean, I know, like, for example, when you hired me on at X Factor, dude, one of the first things was how can I make accounts more presentable, like, you know what I mean, for brands, like, to where, like, if I'm a brand, I want to say, oh, who's that Dorian Miles kid? Like, let me click his reel. Let's see what reel he posts. You know what I mean? And then I go on other athletes on the brand and other influencers as well. Like, even somebody like Kenna White, like, dude, that girl, like, man, she's killing it. Like, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of people who are just killing it, dude. So it's like, it's
Right.
cool to see their growth just off of something as simple as collaboration. Like, we've all come together and collaborated. So I think that's what this podcast is for, really. Like, just collaboration. Let's pick some
Yep.
brains, and like, it's cool because, like, we're not two like super suit and tie dudes. Like, we can if we have to, but like, we're just two
Yeah.
relaxed dudes ready to talk sports, current events, and whatever, like, whatever else they want to talk about. You know what I mean? So it's real cool. Like, I want to, like,
Right.
make sure that people know when they come on, like, dude, this isn't like, Vogue, man. You kick back, turn the camera
Right.
on, and just chop it up, bro. Like, so I'm really excited about that.
Yep.
Seeing people outside of their helmet or their gear, you know what I mean, off the court, and just
Hmm.
really picking their brain. What are you eating right now? Like, dude, you got Chick-fil-A? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Just stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm excited for that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it'll definitely be real influential. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for that to obviously provide a platform to for the athletes to have a little bit more personality and get their brands out there a little bit too. And I think, in such a competitive space that is
Yeah.
NIL, that is influencer marketing, I think a lot of times athletes or even agents or agencies, like they see each other within the space as competitors. And to a degree, I understand that and I get that. But what we're looking for in this podcast is really, like you mentioned, is just to bounce ideas off
Yeah.
each other. Like, what's making Kenna's clock tick? Why is she so successful? What is,
Yeah.
Dorian doing? What is, Trey doing? Like, getting all these perspectives, experiences on a podcast to talk about it, I think is going to be
Yeah.
amazing. And I think it'll just allow all of us in the industry, and as, an X Factor family to grow collectively together too, because
Exactly.
what Kenna's experiencing in college soccer may be different from what you're experiencing, at Missouri Valley
Yeah.
College and stuff like that. So I think the more information we can get out there, the more feedback, the more experiences that we can have these athletes talk
Yeah.
about. I think it'll help people listening. It'll help X Factor athletes, and it'll just keep a nice ecosystem of communication,
Yeah.
conversation. And I'm really excited just to learn more about our athletes
Yeah.
too. Like, I feel like, obviously at this point we have some pretty good relationships with our athletes. But having the opportunity to get on a podcast like this, I feel like we'll get to know them
Yeah.
even more. Like, we'll get to an even deeper level with these athletes and be able to help them even more understand maybe their backgrounds, their
Yeah.
families. And that's, after all, that's like the goal for me and X Factor, is to prop you guys up and, provide opportunity for you guys now and in the
Yeah.
future. So, I think it's awesome to get to know you guys on a personal
Yeah.
basis and know your families and ask about your families and ask about your schooling and your vacation and just like be on a more
Yeah.
personal level. I think that's something that we want to, make sure we're doing here at X Factor, and really just not only getting you guys in the spotlight or getting you paid or getting your, growing your brand. Like, I want to grow relationships, and like what Dorian and I have, like, it's a friendship. Like, we're
Yeah.
really close. We're working together. Like, honestly, it's just, it's great. Like, to get to know you guys and these athletes this way. So I think this podcast would just be great for anyone who just wants to learn more about their craft and get better at what they're doing, and even learn different crafts and different industries and niches that they could get involved in too
Yeah,
potentially.
so I'm definitely digging that. I can't wait. Um, I'm also thinking about the key aspect of, like, you guys, because you harped on it, growth, dude. The people, the viewers, they get to grow with a lot of people. Like, for example, Trey, if you were here 6 months ago, you were watching a college basketball player. Now you're watching a future professional, like, who just declared for the draft. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's awesome that you be able to hear his
Right.
story. Hear, like, man, you train at what time in the morning? Like, dude, you can't eat what anymore? Like, bro, what? Like, stuff like that. Like, I don't know about other people, but,
Right.
like, I'm kind of weird. Like, when I have friends, like, I stalk them on social media, bro. Like, I stalk everything they do, dude. And so I'm watching his account. I'm like, dog, this dude is working, bro. And it's like, I couldn't imagine, like, you
Right.
got somebody on the outside looking in, they get on a podcast and they randomly see him talking about getting up at 6 a.m. and doing this, and then got to train 3 times today, and then fly out here. That's crazy. Like, to me, that's interesting. And I'm somebody
Hmm.
who in a year I'm going to be
Yep.
doing that same thing. And there's a lot of other people on the brand, Jalen,
Right.
Dez, who next year we're all going to be doing that same thing, declaring, trying to become professional. So
Right.
you get the aspect of, you kind of get in early. It's like when people say like, oh, I put you onto that artist. No, like, this is literally the put on service right here. You're getting a lot of people you're
Right.
getting them in the grind now. Like, what are you doing right now? What's going to make you this professional that you want to be? So, I mean, I think that's so cool. I mean, that's
Right.
a tool that a lot of young kids, a lot of transfers like myself was. I mean, I was a transfer and I was 20. I was like, what the heck do I do? Like, where the hell am I going to go for school? You know what I mean? If I could get transfer advice from a podcast, which you're going to get, I mean, most people on the brand have transferred at least once. I know maybe not some of the women, but I
Right.
know most of the male football players have all transferred at least once. Me, Jalen, Dez,
Hmm.
and they're all in home smiling, teeth to cheek. But you
Right.
know what I mean? Just getting some advice on a lot of different things that are may be kind of touchy subjects, you know what I mean? But like transferring, like
Hmm.
things of that nature, you got a bunch of dudes that have transferred before and obviously have found better homes for themselves. I mean, if I was a cat that was transferring, I'm like, yo, well, what made you pick that school? How did you get? Because, dude, there's hundreds and
Right.
thousands of schools, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Just little things like that, little nuggets that you'll get on this show or on this podcast. Or, I mean, I'm excited for that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. I think it's cool too, Dorian, that a lot of our athletes and influencers are just in different phases of their life or their career. So I think, like you said, like somebody who's transferred, there might be somebody that we are working with that's, a freshman or a sophomore that is going to have to or will end up transferring
Mhm,
potentially, and they could learn something from you guys. But also, like you guys as high school, college athletes, like you've been through
mhm.
recruiting, you've been through NIL, you've been through branding, some of you are starting to get into draft prep
Yep.
and stuff like that. So I think even high school athletes, this could be huge for, like listening to other college athletes, other athletes who have gone through recruiting. And, it's tricky getting noticed by a coach or getting on their radar. And like anything you can take as a high school athlete away from a college athlete and get, into their head a little bit, pick their brain, like understand how they got to the point they're at now. Like I think that's going to be huge. So like not only are, pro athletes helping other pro athletes, college athletes helping college athletes, but I think a lot of this ecosystem that we're trying to build here can also help and benefit high school athletes that have no experience in any of
Mhm.
this yet, but they can kind of get ahead of the game a little bit and get some wisdom
Exactly.
and get some mentorship from these athletes. So that's something I'm looking forward to is like making an impact on some of the younger athletes that haven't necessarily been to college yet or through NIL or through transfer portals and stuff like
Yep.
that. So I think it's going to be a very good source for information, guys. And just like Dorian said, just having a lot of personality. We're not like suit and tie type guys. We can be, but it's more, we want this more so to be something that athletes love to come onto and just kind of chat about football or sports or influencers or content or anything about life or, we just want this to be a really easygoing opportunity for athletes and influencers to have a space to talk and to just grow their brand. So I'm personally looking forward to this. Very excited that we've, finally got this thing rolling. And Dorian, I appreciate you and definitely looking forward to,
Yeah.
several episodes here to come and definitely excited for the guests that we'll potentially have here.
Definitely, man. I'm excited too, man. Look forward to seeing all.